And here we go. All right, everybody. Here's the thing with today's text. If you picked up from another school, you probably did not get this as homework last night. If you picked up packets from school 2, from our school, you would have gotten this and the second text as homework last night. So I saw Deanna Lisa's homework. She had done this, both of the texts, the pre-work done. The whole thing for today is this is also a focus on short or extended, response, which means that we've got a lot of work to do in 40 minutes or less. So if you did not already do the pre-work on this, meaning for homework last night, you read, annotated, and main idea jotted these 2 texts, I need your pencil moving like wildfire because we need to get through both of these texts real fast. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about them. All right. Give me a thumbs up if you did these 2 texts last night so I know who to call on. Give me a thumbs up. I see Eliana. Are you showing me you got it? Give me thumbs up. Who did these 2 texts last night? The Battle of Trenton. And for God's sake, stay by your officers or keep by your officers. Looking for thumbs up. Got Mia. She's got it. Great. Got Deanna Lise. Nice. Okay. All right. I've got Rebecca. Nice job. Okay. Here we go. Out and ready to go. Be ready to be called on to answer questions along the way. Here we go. So first things first, noticing that we have paired passages, how does that change the way we're thinking through the text? Elijah. Elijah, be ready to answer. How does that change the way? How does that change the way we think through a text when we have paired passages?
It changes the way because we think, why are they paired together?
Great. And what do we notice about the genre of this text? It's what genre?
Nonfiction.
Nonfiction. So in class, we've talked a lot about why nonfiction passages are paired together. Do you remember why? Usually?
Because they might have the same topic.
Yeah, their big topic is probably the same, but their points of view might be different. You might get a first-hand account versus a second-hand or third-hand account, second-hand. And so when we're reading through, we're thinking the whole time about how can we compare the big topics of these 2 texts. So here we go with the first text. It's called the Battle of Trenton. It's by unknown. We know that it's a nonfiction text, so therefore, what are our thinking jobs, Isabella?
Since we know it's nonfiction text, our thinking jobs are AMT and POV.
Please state them as thinking frames as opposed to just abbreviations. What do we think about?
We are thinking about what the author is mostly teaching and what the author's point of view is.
Nice, great. Everybody jot that at the top if you haven't already. All right, today it says, in early December 1776, the American army did not think they would win the Revolutionary War. The Americans had been defeated in New York by the British and their allies. So the Americans retreated across New Jersey. 90% of all soldiers were gone. Men had deserted because they felt that the cause for independence was lost. The army had fewer than 5,000 men, and General George Washington, their commander, was starting to get nervous. The big idea from this first paragraph is letting me know a couple different things. One, it's letting me know that the Battle of Trenton was during the Revolutionary War, and it's explaining to me that the Americans were losing at this point and it wasn't looking good. Their commander is nervous. So I'm going to write December 76, American losing Rev War. GW for George Washington or General Washington is nervous. So I'm going to add that to it. Okay, that's my first annotation. I'm going to try to make it a little bit smaller. Okay, now moving forward to the second paragraph. Trenton, New Jersey was occupied by 3 regiments of Hessian soldiers. Colonel Joan Rall commanded the 1,400 men. Washington's force had 2,400 men. Washington decided to go on the attack. He crossed the Delaware River on Christmas night, and it began to rain. As the air got colder, the rain changed to sleet and then to snow. Terrible weather conditions delayed the landings in New Jersey. The soldiers began to march toward Trenton before sunrise. So this paragraph is showing me the big idea that they were losing in paragraph 1. They were losing. Their boss, their general, is worried, and he decides instead, all right, here's what we're going to do. We are going to attack. We're going to do a surprise attack. So I say GW for General Washington rallies troops to attack H for Hessians in Trenton. Okay. Make your paper look like mine. Here we go. Moving forward. All right. Because of the weather, the Hessians did not send soldiers out. They were surprised by the attack. The Hessians formed ranks and began to advance up the street, but their ranks were quickly broken because of the force of the American army. Since they were soon surrounded, the Hessians surrendered. Washington captured nearly all the Hessians at Trenton on December 26, 1776. So the big idea here is that the attack was a success because they caught the Hessians off guard, right? So I'm going to write attack success. Caught H off guard. Boop, 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 boop. All right.
Jonna, make sure your camera's on at all times.
All right, moving forward. The small but key battle had a large effect. The colonial effort was revived. The Battle of Trenton gave the Americans new confidence. It also caused soldiers to rejoin the Continental Army. This last paragraph is really giving me the point of view of the author. It's saying that this particular choice of General Washington, the Battle of Trenton, surprising the Hessians, turned the tide of the war. So jot that down on the other side. Now that I've finished, I've got a big idea gathered together, synthesized ideas. I made one big statement. The author mostly was teaching here about the Battle of Trenton and how it was a turning point for the Americans during the Revolutionary War. I've got 2 big bullet points to support that claim that I'm making. The first is that they had been losing in early December 1776. The second is that General Washington made a bold move to charge and to surprise their opposition. This is what the author was mostly teaching in this text. And then I believe that, again, from that final paragraph is really where the author's point of view of this text comes to light. The point of view is that without General Washington's leadership, that war may have been lost, very well could have been lost for the colonial soldiers, for the Americans. So here's my completely annotated text. And now as you move into, so we're working with paired passages. So now as I move into my second text, I'm going to be thinking a lot about now what is the common thread between the two. And usually, just as Elijah had told us earlier, usually when a text is paired and it's nonfiction as a genre, they're paired together because their topics are similar. So notice in text 2. Text 2 has a background piece of information here. Background information is important to read. It's not just extra. It needs to be read. So everyone take the next 30 seconds or so and read the background information on text 2. What big idea do we need to pull from the background information of text 2, Serenity?
I said EB equals soldier in Battle of He wrote memoirs shortly.
Yeah, this is our connection between the two texts. This is now showing us the difference between the two as well. This is coming from a memoir from a soldier who fought in that very Battle of Trenton. So we're getting a first-hand account. The first text was a historical retell. The second text is going to be an actual soldier's retell of that. How do you think that's going to affect the information or the way that the information is presented? We've been learning about memoirs in reading class or writing class and reading, I suppose. What does every memoir always have? Every memoir always has what, Mercy?
Memoirs have reflection and
with reflection, what comes forward for the reader? How you feel, right? What you think and feel about something. So how is that going to be different in text too for us as readers?
it may come up of how the author feels, not how the truth is told.
Right, and the author of this particular text was an officer or was a soldier in that very battle. So you're going to get his actual firsthand thoughts and feelings. This is why your background information is one of the most important things to make sure that you pay attention to. Now, we know that if this is telling us it's from a memoir, we know that, again, this is a nonfiction text, right? So at the top of the text, put that it's nonfiction and annotate that we're going to be thinking again about what is the author mostly teaching us here and what is his point of view here. So I'm going to go ahead and putting this down so that you can see, because we're going to run through it a little bit faster. Okay, it says, "For God's sake, keep by your officers." So the title of this text is a quote. So I'm going to probably see that quote somewhere within the text itself. So let's see where we can find it. Here it says, number 1. "Our army passed through Bethlehem and Moravian town,
Brooklyn, I need your
and
eyes.
so on to the Delaware, which we crossed 9 miles north of Trenton, and encamped on the Pennsylvania side, and there remained to the 24th of December. Our whole army was then set in motion, and toward evening began to recross the Delaware, but by obstructions of ice in the river did not all get across till March began, or till quite late in the evening, and all the time a constant fall of snow with some rain, and finally our march began with the torches of our field pieces stuck in the exalters. They sparkled and blazed in the storm all night, and about daylight a halt was made, at which time His Excellency and aides came near to the front on the side of the path where the soldiers stood." I got 2 big annotations from this text, or from this first paragraph. The one is that I really felt that he was trying to communicate that the lead up to this battle was very treacherous. We've got ice on the river. We're crossing the Delaware River, right? We've got people with, they've got torches, they've got snow, they've got rain. Oh man, think about having to do all of that at the same time. So I'm leading up to the battle was treacherous. And then General Washington, I believe he's calling His Excellency General Washington. So I wrote on the side, GW approaches the troops. "I heard His Excellency as he was coming on, speaking and encouraging the soldiers. The words he spoke as he passed by where I stood and in my hearing were these: 'Soldiers, keep by your officers. For God's sake, keep by your officers,' spoke in a deep and solemn voice." So there's the connection to the title again. It's that quote. He's encouraging them. He's trying to keep them on the line. He's trying to keep them moving forward, keeping with their officers, moving forward in an effort to win this war or this battle, and ultimately the war. "While passing a slanting, slippery bank, His Excellency's horse's hind feet both slipped from under him, and he seized his horse's mane, and the horse recovered." So he almost fell from the horse, is what I grabbed here on the side. "Our horses were then unharnessed, and the artillerymen prepared. We marched on, and it was not long before we heard the out sentries of the enemy, both on the road we were in and the eastern road, and their out guards retreating fire.
quickly.
And our army then, with a quick step, pushing up on upon both roads, at the same time entered the town. Their artillery taken, they resigned with little opposition, about 900, all Hessians, with 4 brass field pieces. The remainder, crossing the bridge at the lower end of the town, escaped. So it seemed that this went through, this whole battle seemed very quick because they were not prepared. The Hessians were not prepared for this surprise attack, and therefore it was successful. So again, for this second text, here is my main idea jot. I wrote that the author, Elisha Bostwick, I made sure to add that into my main idea jot. He reflects on his experience as a soldier during the Battle of Trenton. I've got 3 bullet points here to support that big idea statement. The first is that it was difficult at first. The second is that General Washington, and I wrote in parentheses, Excellency, because that's how Elisha Bostwick referred to him, tried to encourage soldiers. And then ultimately the battle was swift and successful. And I think that through that, he has this tone of positivity in the end that I think that he's saying, just like the first text was kind of saying here, that it was a key battle. It had a large effect, small, but it had a large effect. So I think that the second text point of view is that the battle was tough and it was difficult, but it was worth it in the end. All right, so let's finish that up. Now you got both the texts. Before I move on to questions, I want to just finish and nail down the connection between the two. I know that these texts are both nonfiction. I know that they were paired together. So I think, why were they paired together? Well, they are both talking about the same big topic, the Battle of Trenton. What makes them different? They're different because they are talking from different points of view. So, different points of view. One is a firsthand account from a soldier who fought in the battle. The first text, the other text, is a historical retelling, so secondhand or third person account. Now let's jump down to the question for today. Everybody go to our extended response question prompt. When we get to extended responses, we read the prompt first. So Ariel, read the prompt for us.
The prompt says both passages describe the same event. How are the author's points of view in these 2 accounts of the Battle of Trenton different? How do the points of view help the reader understand the events in the text? In your response, be sure to explain how the 2 authors' point of views are different. Explain how the point of view the reader understands the events in the text. Use details from both passages to support your response.
Yeah, so that second bullet point, it's left out the word help. So explain how the points of view of help the reader understand the events in the text. So there are 2 questions, so that means 2 short responses for this extended response. The first is saying explain how the 2 authors' points of view are different. I'm going to call on somebody to share with me how they are different. Let's go with Isaiah. Tell me how they are different.
They're different because the first text talks about how the battle was about, but the second text is a first point of view and how and it talks about a specific soldier that was in the trench war.
It's not talking about a specific soldier, Isaiah. It's from that soldier's point of view. So the difference is that both of them are telling the same story, but the difference is that they're telling it from different perspectives. So let's all write that down as our draft idea. So it's T1 or text 1 is a historical retell, and text 2 is firsthand a soldier's memoir. Jot that down. The second question is explain how the points of view the reader or helps the reader understand the events in the text. How do those two different points of view help us to understand? What's your idea? Malia, tell us.
My idea is that they clearly express their ideas or feelings about.
Somebody help her out. Let's go with Simon. Help her out. What is the how do those different points of view help us as readers really understand the Battle of Trenton better?
The point of views help understand the battles better because like it shows what people felt, how people felt in the battles.
Did both of them show a lot of how people felt?
No, one of them. One of
So
them
what
was
is the benefit of having the two different points of view, one being a historical retell and the other being a firsthand account? If someone sees Souley, unmute Souley for me, please.
Yep,
All right,
I see him.
got him. Souley, tell us what you think. What's the benefit of having the two different points of view?
The benefit of having the 2 points of views is that one, we can learn about what happened during that time, and the second text is telling us how does it feel to be in that certain position.
Yeah, absolutely, Souley. That is exactly right. So that's kind of what I wrote here. I wrote for my draft idea. Text 1 is what happened. Text 2 is how it felt. Because when you're getting a memoir, you're getting the author's feelings. You're getting their thoughts. So Kenneth, let's go. Everybody's jotting down the same draft idea. Great. So what we're going to do in breakout rooms is, this is your independent practice for today, to draft out, plan your outline. So on your planning page, what we're going to do is we're going to outline the 2 short responses. We've got the draft ideas. So your next step is to find the evidence to support. Then you're going to plan it out and draft it out. You have the next 16 minutes or so in your breakout rooms to do this work. Okay. All right. I'm ready when you are, Miss Mafia. All right, guys. As you're coming in, oh, Isaiah, you don't belong in here, but it's good to see you. It's okay that you're in here, Isaiah. We'll just leave you in unless something happens. So you're good. Stay with us. All right. Our plan now is you have to. I'm going to share my screen with you again. We're going to plan. All right. I for first, and then your topic sentence. Make your claim. Then your B, or A for your first piece of evidence. Fire and turn off your sound. Then your evidence 2. Then you move into second paragraph. Topic sentence 2. And your 2 pieces of evidence. Here's what we're going to do today for independent practice. You have 15 minutes till we break for lunch. So I am going to set, you really don't have tons of work to do on your own. So I'm going to set a timer for 12 minutes. You need to have outlined and drafted both of those 2 paragraphs, and we're going to check all together in 12 minutes. I'm going to call on some people to show and share their responses. Okay, go ahead and get to it. Clock is set, 12 minutes. Go ahead. All right, everybody, straight to work. Nice work. Nice job. Looks good. Hmm.